Hey everyone, this is Oniban here from 10XU community. Today we are hosting Harsh Mishra. He will teach us about system building and before we start the event, I would love to say something before we start this event, I would love to share something with you. Actually, we started this community just to make you all accountable and accomplish the task you have in your life and your career. As a freelancer, we know that how difficult it is to uh, do everything all on your own because we are managing the sales, we're managing the branding, we're managing our own growth, upskilling. Then also we have added a community inside it. So the thing is, yeah, if I might be. So the thing here is to understand that as a freelancer, it's quite overwhelming to manage all on your own. But what happens like sometimes when you have someone who is constantly pushing you and asking you why you are not doing what you are doing, why haven't you have done it, everything. Whenever someone asks you questions, that actually makes you accountable and push you to achieve more and more and more. That is why we started this community, and uh, it's been 1 year and 3 months I started this community, and I have met with a lot of people, a lot of people joined this community, a lot of people left. We removed them just because they're not active. Maybe they were not getting value, or even if they are not active in this community. So this is the end of 24. This is the last event of this community. So in the before the last event starts, I would love to say that whoever joined this session regularly, like Virisha, Pragya, these people really, like Ankita, these people really joined every session and spend time there, learn something. They have some people also written on their wall about these events, the learnings they have got from this community and the session. I'm grateful to all of you whoever have wrote about this events community, and thank you so much for being a part of this community. I'm really grateful to all of you. And today we will learn about this system building from Harsh. Harsh is actually a generalist. I love generalists more than specialists because in the realm of this AI, ML, branding, sales, and all of things are everything is dynamic nowadays. Nothing is stagnant. Like you can't rely on anything specific for a long term because uh, riches are of course in niches, but in the long term, if you see that if you don't have the skills uh, which we require, like if you are a personal strategist, you have to have a sales skill. Like sales skill, marketing skills are the must for any freelancer or any business. So you have must have these skills in order to sell yourself, in order to make money. But I love generalists more than specialists because generalists can do everything. That doesn't mean that generalists will do everything regularly. They can be a specialist in xyz niche. Maybe they can be specialist in system building, and they can do other thing as well. Just similarly, Harsh does this thumbnail designing. He also helped creators to grow on YouTube. Overall, he's a content creator, but he called himself a generalist just because he know every aspect of marketing, every aspect, how you can grow, the algorithm, the and the most important thing as a freelancer, you must have a system in order to make everything easy and quick. So today we have Harsh. Welcome, Harsh, in the final episode or final session of this community in 24. Glad to have you. Now the stage is yours.
Yeah, I was having the notes of the words you have picked for mentioning me. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Harsh, and I help creators and brands to grow on YouTube. Like this is the main thing that what I do. Along with that, I'm a content creator. I create content, and so today we are going to talk about building systems, right? So, like, how many of you follow a basic system for yourself? Like, you can comment one if you guys use, a simple checklist for yourself when you work on something, when you work with a client, or when you start working on something. Also, we are going to make this session engaging. Like, first, I will, give my PPT and the stuff I have, and then we will talk about tackle the questions you guys have. Right. So let me start sharing my screen. So you can just let me know if my screen is visible. Share this entire screen. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it is.
Just let me know if my screen is visible or not.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Great. So we are going to talk about building system as a freelancer. Before we, talk about systems, let's first understand what the system means. So system is just something you have kind of a checklist. So I'm talking, just like a beginner. So if you're a just beginner, when you think of a system, it's something like you have a checklist you have to follow when you're approaching toward the work. So here, when we talk about systems, so we have few points that we will going to discuss here. So let's move to the next slide before you guys. I think most of you people don't know me. So I'm Harsh Mishra. I'm a 21-year-old journalist. And why I'm calling myself a journalist? Because I have done so many things. Right. I have worked as a social media manager. I worked as a content creator. I am helping brands as a content creator. Along with I'm a graphic designer, helping YouTubers for their thumbnails. Along with I'm helping creators and brands to grow on YouTube. From this point of time, I have, generated 30 million plus views with my thumbnails, right? So this is a small kind of intro. Acha, let's talk about why we need a system, and before that, we will first understand the concept of productivity. So 90% of productivity is come when you say no to things, right? So you know what you don't have to do, what are things you have to avoid, right? So here, when we talk about system, we will think of something that we have a track of our input. So let's suppose you are going to work with a client and you're going to help them with their YouTube scripts, right? In future, my friend Snehil will take a session in this group, so you will learn about that scripts. But before, let's understand when how you're going to give the input. So when you don't have a track of your input you're giving, so you can't have a track of the output you're going to get. So as a thumbnail designer, when I make thumbnails, if I don't know what are the pre-steps I have to follow, and I just randomly approach to it, I don't know the input I'm giving to my client, and then I cannot get the analysis of the output he is getting, right? So then I don't have the credibility and more information about the work I'm doing. Now the workflow is very important thing. My friends have told me so many times that you should have a clean desk, right? This is very important because many freelancers play a messy game. What is the messy game means? So messy means when you don't have a proper checklist, when you don't have your things organized, when you don't have the key understanding of how you can organize your stuff, your task, your the documents you create, right? So if you don't have a proper workflow for yourself, many times you're going to get into messy middle stage. And if you guys know what is messy middle, so there's a book by Scott Blesky. This is the book called The Messy Middle. So many of the time we as a freelancer, meet this state called messy middle. When you have a proper system, when you know what you have to do, but still you will at the state where you will feel like you don't know anything, you are stuck and you cannot do anything. At that point, the system will help you to understand what is the next step or what is the prior step you have to take. Let's suppose I'm working as a thumbnail designer. I'm helping my client for thumbnails. Let's suppose I'm working with 10 clients. Now I have 10 tasks today to do. And let's suppose I went to my friend's party. And after coming back to my home, now I will feel worried because now I have tasks in my pending schedule, right? Now I can write it in my to-do list, right? These are my work. But how I can understand what is my priority? And there your system come into the game. Because now you know what is your high priority task, what is the task and what is your deadline and when you have to give to them, right? And then you can understand who is your client and how many clients you are managing. And when you came into the state where you're actually delegating, there come the thing that become very hard. Now we will understand why to have a system. And let's take a two scenario where you have a when you don't have a system and you have a system. So when you don't have a system, you will always be in messy middle state. Means you don't know what you have to do. Many of the time you come into a situation where you have to feel like, what is the next step I would take? I'm confused. What is the next step for me? And this is where you are in messy middle. I will not say you will never be in this state. There are so many times when you will question yourself about what you are doing. But when you have system, you know what is the task you have in your list, in your bucket, you have to fulfill, right? So having a system, you will have a track to come back to. Even you are getting into the messy middle, you know when to switch off that button, take a rest, take a break, and then come back to the state of your work, right? The second thing is inefficiency and delay in the task. So let me take my example. So I was work when in 2021 when I started working as a freelancer. So what happened? I was working with one client and I used to give them 5 designs per day. So what happened? I was making the designs, and since I don't have any track, I was not making a checklist. I was not making the list of how many designs I was making. My client have opened this feature called one time on WhatsApp. This which remove the data which the message you send to them will get deleted. Similarly, that thing will happen on Slack after 30 days. So what will happen if I don't have the track? Then how can I send him an invoice of the designs I have made? So first, inefficiency. I don't know how many designs I have made. I don't have a track of it. So I cannot send him an invoice. And since don't have a checklist, a system for myself, so I cannot have a track of when to send the invoice. So let's suppose one of my client told me that, hey Harsh, send me invoice on 15th of the month. So now I have to keep a track that for this person, I have to give the invoice on 15th, right? And if I don't have the system, what will happen? First, it will be inefficient. I will always forget when I have to send the invoice because 15 is just come into the middle of the month. So I will forget it. And many of the time, you will forget that you have to do a task that is on pending. So suppose today you have to make a design and you slept because you had an exam tomorrow and you are so tired up. What will happen? You will forget the task you have to do. Now your client will keep asking you, here's updates, 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 and you will be like, oh my God, what happened? What should I do? So that's what you need, right? First, having system saves your time because now you know you have a track. So let me give you one thing. So I use Notion, and on my phone, I use these 2 widgets. Let me know if you see my screen. Just you can raise the hand so that I can understand, like you just heard me. Can you see my phone screen? Let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Guys. Great. So I have 2 widgets. First is my task OS. That is my Notions widget, which I use to check what are the tasks I have to do. And secondly is my creator dashboard to check the task I have to work on as a creator. Right. Let's have to go back to the screen. Is my screen visible again?
Yes.
Great. Now, third point, when you don't have system, you will appeal as a unprofessional. And you have to understand in the market of a freelancers, you know that there are so many freelancers which are upcoming, which are, just have watched some YouTubers video that how you can be a freelancer, how you can earn 1 lakh rupees money as a freelancer, and they are coming in the market. So for them, there's a huge people coming in, and there you have to show yourself as a professional, and there you have to have a time limit for yourself. So first, when you don't have system, you will be unprofessional because now you are not doing your time one not now you're not doing your work on time. Now you're not giving the work on time, and you're not also giving the work update on time. So you're unprofessional, unorganized, so you will become less credible in the market, and that will create a bad repo of yourself. When you have system, you will be professional and you will be organized because now you have something to look back to, right? So you will have the track of invoices, you have track of the task you have done, you have, and let me tell you, you don't have to use Notion. You can use a simple Google Sheet for yourself. And this is not just only limited to your client task and invoices or managing few freelancers which are working with you. It can also go and easily work on your investments. So if you guys are earning and if you are investing, you know that it is highly important to track of what you are investing and how much you are investing, right? Great. Now, key thing. First, it looked little messy because I, made it in hurry. So first, key things. Number one thing, when you're making a system, you must have clear goals. And let me tell you, not having clear goals and unrealistic goals will make you burn out. And I'm the best example. I have made so many unrealistic goals for months, for weeks, and for days that made me burned out. And while being in the process of burnout, let me tell you, it is the worst phase as a freelancer because now you can't work on something. You need to have now you must have to take the break, right? You must take breaks. You are not working on time. Even you, if you are into creative field like designers, like writers, you have to think, and there you face this thing called creative block. I think you guys aware about having creative blocks and how much worse nightmare it is, right? So for having clear goals, the number one thing that you can do is having a to do. Let me give you my marker. So this is my table which is complete white, and what I generally do, uh, so whenever I have something very important to do, I start writing on my table, right? So that I have something on my vision so that I can look back to, and whenever I'm done with it, I just take it off. And let me tell you, these are the things which, so when you put something, task on, like things like your app which you use for your task tracking, let me tell you, the very hard thing about these applications is that once it is written on your application, and once you turn off your phone or turn off that application, now you forget that. Why? Because you don't have the muscle which may make you remember about the task you have written. And if you're a beginner and you have just started building the system, let me tell you, start with as simple as to do making on your table or a sticky note, so that first you have the muscle of looking your task and ticking it off. Because once you don't have the muscle, even you are using tools like Notion, ClickUp is also an application which is similar to Notion. It gives you Kanban board. So there are two applications I mentioned, Notion or ClickUp, or if you use any to-do application. If you don't have the muscle, let me tell you, it will be very hard for you to keep track of your task you have assigned for yourself. Right. So first you have to build the muscle. Second thing is priorities. So just forgive me for the spelling mistake. So first you have to understand your task priority, right? So let me give you an example. Let me give you my example. So I'm working with this creator called Prakhar Ke Pravachan. I don't know if you guys know him, but when I was working with him, he assigned me a few thumbnails. There are 5 thumbnails for his course, so course episode thumbnails, and then I have to work on his YouTube videos thumbnail. Then he have another YouTube channel and I have to make that thumbnails. And I have to make an Instagram story. So now just think it of key. I have multiple work ek saath, and I have to tackle all these work, and I have to give the update to my client that what I'm working, right? So first what I have to do, instead of just creating multiple design files for every project, I will pick top 3 work. And for top 3, I will first pick the best task that I have to work. And this is what called Eat That Frog. I don't know if you guys know about this book called Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog means starting with the hardest task of the day and getting done with it. Right. So when you pick the top and the hardest task for the day, let me tell you, because that hardest task will take the most of your energy. So if you don't get rid of that task early, it will make you feel bad about it in whenever you're working. So let me give you a situation. Suppose I'm working for thumbnail, which is not very prior task for Prakhar. So Prakhar told me, hey Harsh, what's the update on Instagram story? Because it is important to let client know that they are coming on our channel for the podcast. So what I was working on thumbnail, but the priority task is on pending. Now the updates that I'm getting from my client will make me feel worry, and this situation will just make the thing messy, right? And I will not be able to give my best here. So what I have to do, first I have to pick the task which is very important and very hard, right? So which is need to get done early, and maybe that thing could be the hardest task of the day. So when you get done with that, you feel the motivation because now you feel happy ki, okay, now I have sent the design to my client and he will not tell me ki, what is the update. What he will do, he will give me the changes. That is the later thing. Now start small. So if you're a beginner and if you listen to me from these long time, so you feel like, "Bhai, what is this? Itna karna padega." Let me tell you, start small means you have to first focus on less clutter. Make the very simple to do for yourself. You can use sheet, you can use a sticky note. And this is my Mac, and let me tell you in a software. Just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah,
My screen is visible. So on Mac, there's this thing called stickies. And let me tell you, like these are stickies I have made so long ago. So what are these things do? They actually come as a sticky note for my screen. So I have a big monitor here, right? And this monitor will help me to have a big space for my things. So if I'm designing as well, these are, stick at here, and I can look back to them whenever I want to, right? So these are some sticky notes that I can look back to, and this is the same thing that you can do for yourself. You can create sticky notes for yourself, and you can stick on your monitor, on your table, or you can use a diary. And the last thing is, keep build up muscle first, right? Before making or going for any Notion template any creator is selling on internet, even I'm selling uh, Notion templates. Just don't go for it. If you are a beginner, first build a muscle that you have to have this thing key. Okay, I look back to the system. I check off that task which I have, right? And let's go to the next screen. And let's talk about soda. This is the very fun thing I today discovered, and let me talk about it. Right? What is soda? Soda is thing that you can take as your checklist before building a system, because it is very important to understand that the system I'm using may not work for you. The system Anirban is using may not work for you, or maybe the system any big productivity creator is using may not work for you, because the lifestyle, the thing, the work, the task you do is very different from them, right? So maybe the way you do the amount of pressure you get at your home, or the task you have to handle every single day is very different from me, from anyone else, right? So you have to make a system for yourself that is aligned with your lifestyle, and you have to take care of it, that we have this framework called soda. So first, before getting to the soda, because you can now see what is soda means, but let's talk about few things I have written here. Before making systems, as a freelancer, you have to aware of these three things: task, client, prospect. Task means the task you have to do as a freelancer. It could be making invoices, making designs, making proof of work, or sharing your designs or work on social media. It could be your task and your priorities. Second is your client. So when you are working with a client, even though you are posting on social media, even though you are learning from YouTube or any other platform, you're coming on this meet, you have to have a track of the work your client have given or the task have assigned to you. Second is this. Last is prospect. Even though you're working with a client, even though you're managing your day work, you have to have the understanding of prospects. Prospect mean when you are reaching out to the new people and making them your new clients, outreaching, or just getting this, booking the sales call, or meeting new people, making network, so that you can get a new clients. The process of making someone your client, right? So for me, as a helping creators to grow on YouTube, my priority would be, my prospect will be all the creators who are growing on social media, on growing on YouTube, right? And my checklist would be here for each thing. For task, for client, for prospect, you have to have a checklist. For task, you have to make sure that how much task you will give to your work. And I remember when I was badly burned out this year, one of my client told me there should be two tasks for yourself. One could be your work task, and second would be your non-work task. So even though you're working with a client, you have to have this understanding of timing. You have to block your timing in a way that you have a time when you're not working on your client's task. You have to have a time when you're working on client's task, and when you're working on your client's task, your non-work task, which is not your client's task, would not come into it. And this is where my first slide come into it. That is 90% of your productivity is saying no, And that is saying no to the task when you're working, and you have to understand what you not have to do. Right. Now let's talk about the framework because it is very simple. First, systematize. Have to have a checklist. If you are a beginner, if you are professional, or if you are advanced freelancer, or you had a system for yourself, have to have a checklist. Or do you guys have understanding of SOPs? I think you guys have understanding of SOPs. Few things that you have to remember when you're working on something. Even though you are reaching to your client, you have to have a checklist. When you are working on your task, you have to have a checklist. Ki, what is the thing that I have to do, what I have to take care of, and what I do not have to do. Let's suppose I'm working on my task and I'm watching this video of um, which creator I should take the name. This channel called The Future. If I'm watching the video of Future on anything, could be public speaking, right? If I'm watching that video, I have to understand that I have to keep my phone and my desktop or my laptop silent. And there should not be popping notification sounds because they highly distract you. Let's suppose you're watching the video of Future and here you're scrolling your Instagram. This is what you not have to do. And when you are working on your task, use this thing called Pomodoro. And I don't know if you guys know about this thing called deep work. If you guys aware about deep work, just believe me, this is the life changer thing. Like it helped me so much. So having a Pomodoro, so if my screen is visible, you can see this. Just let me know if my screen is, like you can see this top bar. Hello, guys, guys. I think everybody is sleeping.
No,
Are-
we are here. In fact, you've got a 40-year-old watching you. So that's me. And you're doing a pretty good stuff, Hush, taking us through everything. It's just
yeah.
that we can't see the Pomodoro.
No, I'm not showing the Pomodoro. I'm showing you the shortcut I have. So yeah, life is all about having shortcuts. You have to
All
have,
right.
find a way that you can, integrate shortcuts in your life. You don't have to have this fancy applications, softwares which you have to use. Just buy it. There are so many shortcuts. So here I have a Pomodoro, and this unique thing I have got in this Mac thing. So let me just, close this sticky here from here. So now it is asking me like how many minutes I have to work on. So if I, say 25 minutes, I have to just say done and my Pomodoro is started. So can you see this small time on my, I, I think it is known as taskbar or something. Can you see
Yes.
this time
I
running?
think it came and it
And this is
went.
also, yep. And also you can see a little timer of my day, like how much time I have left in my day. So it also give me a little idea about like how much time I have left in my day so that I can, fast get done with my task. Great. So let me turn off my Pomodoro so that it won't distract me while talking with you guys. Great. I think I can. Let's move forward. Yeah. So I was talking about soda framework. So before taking out, so first of all, you have to have a system for yourself. Be a systematized person. And let me tell you, first this systematized word I heard from Ali Abdal. I think you guys have heard the name of this productivity creator Ali Abdal. I learned this word sort of systemized from him. And after that, there's a creator called Matt Gray. He also talk about systems, and I personally love the way he create handwritten notes and he share on social media. You guys must check his profile someday, right? Second is optimize. Even though you have made system, you have to optimize it. And let me tell you, as a freelancer, I have to keep optimize myself for every next day task, right? And let me tell you, there are so many tasks which don't require your softwares like Notion, to do ClickUps. Sometimes this simple to do on your table and sticky note will work the best. And the last thing, that is delegate. And here we are coming to the stage when you are, actually at the state where you're becoming a big freelancer. And when I'm saying it, it means you are coming at the state of becoming an agency person. And when I say agency, I doesn't mean ki you have to have an agency of yours. I'm saying ki you are becoming an agency person. Means now you are going to delegate your task. And I'm going to talk about what when you have to delegate. And the last thing is automate. Just think about, like, there are so many things on you have on the plate, and you have to pick one best thing. So you have to pick one best thing. You cannot have everything, right? So you have to decide ki how many tasks you have to do, how many tasks you have to delegate, and how to automate it. So if you have chat gpt in your phone, and that simple task of reading something, if ChatGPT can do it, just use it. Right? There's no problem in it. And I let me give you a very classic example. In in design industry, we designers have this competition between Photoshop and Canva. And one of the legendary person told me this thing. If Canva can do it, let Canva do it. If ChatGPT can do it, let ChatGPT do it, right? And I'm not saying you to get dependent on anything. Automation doesn't mean that you are going to get dependent on it. It just means that, having small applications for yourself that, reduce your time. You don't have to search for things. Yeah, great. Let's move to the next slide. Yep. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, the hardest task, that is delegation. If you're a freelancer, if you have you ever tried delegating your task, let me tell you, it is not the easiest one. It sounds easy. Yes, you're sending your work to another person, another freelancer. Hey buddy, just do it. And let me tell you, it is not easy. It sounds easy, but it is not easy, because now you have to manage your client, you have to manage another person who's making design. You have to take the updates on time to time. Even when your client is angry, you have to manage it. First, first get overloaded. If you're a freelancer, you have to, have the stage, or you have to have the state where you have so many clients, so many work, that you cannot handle it. And now you can delegate it because you have so many work. And when you don't have so many work, just don't delegate it. If you can manage it, go for it. If you can't, delegate. Great. Second thing, get paid softwares which save time. And let me tell you, I'm talking about this thing, Avi, ki you have to have some tricks for yourself. But if there's a chance, or if there's any software that can save your time, go for the paid softwares. They really save your time. Great. I used to use this crack softwares before, but they usually don't really work properly. And many of the time they crash, and when they crash, they will make your life hell. Right? So what I did, I bought the software, and now I can, do the work faster. And second, yes, it's add more money. And we as a freelancer, we want to earn more money, and this is true. And sorry for that if you feel bad, but money is important. Yes, when you delegate your task, when you have so many people, so many clients in your thing, you have to manage. Now you can have so many freelancers below you. Not so many, but freelancers that can save your time, that can do your job well, right? So now you can earn more money, and go forward in your life. And the last part is, delegation is not equal to you will be free. Yes, it saves time, but it doesn't mean that you will become free. Now you will be, chilling in beach and enjoying the weather. Oh my God, my client is getting his work done, and I'm not. It is one of the messier tasks. Because now you have someone else to manage. Now you have become a manager. Before you were a service person, you're working for someone, and now you are becoming a manager. You're managing people. You will learn the skill of management, and it will take time. So if you're starting out in a process of delegation, and if it is becoming messier, you will get used to it when you slowly working on it. And it also required muscle, right? Now let's talk about having non-negotiables in your life. Just remember this principle. Have to have few non-negotiables in your life. That few things that you never do, even if it isn't important. First, reflect time to time. If you are a freelancer and you feel bad, often, and you feel like, oh my God, what I'm doing, uh, is it right for me? Is I have I chosen a right path for me? Reflect back to back, and There's a one thing I want to talk about. When I made this task OS for me, let me give you an example of my. So when I was making this task OS for me on Notion, look, it is very simple. I created this thing called cash flow milestones, also savings milestone, and also few milestone for myself, so that whenever I feel bad, whenever I feel like, oh my god, where I am, is it right for me, I look back to these milestones. And let me tell you, you don't have to have milestones like earning money. You can have milestones like, yes, I bought a PS5 from my own money, I bought a first MacBook, I taken my parents on the first flight, something like this. You can have something like this in your milestone, which will make you happy. And you have to reflect, because when you reflect, you appreciate yourself. Yes, I did something best in my life. And second thing is remove it distractions. Flight mode, I remember I talk about this thing, but it is very important. If you're working on something, just remove every single distraction. Use flight mode, use app blockers, use extensions that block few websites for you. And don't, random watch YouTube video when you're working. Because yes, it kills your time and your client will become angry about it. um, the third thing that is very important is adding more chill time. If you're a freelancer and you are just a hustler kind of person, yes, I will work more, I will earn more money, I will have more clients, I have my big goals. Have a chill pill, because yes, you will do that, you will achieve everything. In few days of the week, have a few time. And like, I feel so happy when I see Anirban going out in places and moving and traveling. I also want to do that. So for me, for my own chill time, I go out in the nature, I go out with my friends, spend few time with them, talk with them, or I do Google Meets. I meet my friends, I talk with them, ki how's life going, what you are doing, what I am doing, something like this. Having chill time will make your mind happy, because it is important. If your mind is not working, you are not going to go forward in life, right? And third and fourth point is deep work. I talk about that. Have a Pomodoro for yourself. No distraction, nothing, just your work on your screen. And I will show you my screen through there, Bad, after a few minutes, when I'm done with all these slides, so that I can show you how I use my screen for my own productivity. And the last one is be a clutter free person. You have to have, clean background for yourself. Right now I don't have, because I'm a boy and I make my room messy so many times. But have a clutter free background on your mobile phone as well, on your desktop, on your folders. Make them organized. Sometimes take your time and delete all the files which you have saved so months ago that you will read them. Delete them. They are not important because you haven't read them. And if they are important, start reading them, right? So, oh shit. Just a template thing. Just forget about that. I forgot to edit. So this is the slide, and yep. So let me give you a little overview of how an advanced system look like. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready?
Yes, we are. I think you
Great,
expect,
great.
Harsh, you're very interesting. You expect people to interact and communicate and engage with you.
Yes, yes, that is important. So this is one little example of having a Notion dashboard. I don't know if you guys can see everything on the screen, because my screen is so big and it is sharing on the Meet. So if you guys, looking at in your phone, just let me know if it is just very simple, or could be a little complex dashboard for anyone. So if you are working on something, so I'm taking the session, let me, take my to do. Yep, it's a little dashboard that you can use. And here are a few buttons, functionalities, and yep, it sounds thoda sa complex, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now the second one is agency dashboard, and let me guys thoda sa, give you a little sneak peek that I made this agency dashboard for one of my client who was building an agency. So they are using it as of now. And since I made that on their application, so I had their mail, so I made it on their Notions. But this will give you a little, a point of view, a overview of how agency dashboard look like if you make it on Notion. Great. First, having a personal dashboard so that you can have to have a track of your thing. Second, you have to have a this thing called Teams thing where you can have a task OS for yourself when where you can assign the work to someone. And if you have so many freelancers, their name will be visible here, like Harsh, someone called James, Anirban, if I'm hiring Anirban in future, so Anirban will be there, and they have their task here. And this is a simple Kanban board. So if you guys don't know about what is Kanban board, so this is how Kanban board look like. So when you add a new task here, it is easily drag and dropped to the status stuff, and it is very similar to ClickUp. If anyone you have used ClickUp before, you have seen something like this. So when I click on this simple button which I have created, it add a new task, and when I get a new task, it will be in hidden, I guess, because I haven't customized it properly. So if I assign it to Harsh, it will appear here. Notion is sometimes become a little complex if you really don't understand how it works, but it's one of the tools that professionals use, because once you understand how these small stuff are working, you will become used to it. And you can add, let's suppose I have to create these designs for James, so I can create a deadline for here, and this will sync with my Notion calendar. So this is a little complex. I think I'm making it more complex, but let's so this is how it look like, right? You can have your team details, so you can mention your team's, phone number, email, date of joining, their status if they're working or not. And yep, this is how a complex system look alike. You have so many things to tackle off. And when you become a manager, now this is the only thing you have to do. Not just the only thing, but this is the thing that you have to, focus on. Now for prospect dashboard, you have cold outreach, then client page. Here you can create another sheet, another table, another data, so many data. And yep, this is how a complex dashboard look like. And this is one of the little complex, because there are so many more complex data. The created dashboard I created for myself is more complex for anyone. So the created dashboard I use, so if you guys can see my screen, let me check. Yep. So this is the created dashboard I use. So there's a public folder where I choose to show my work in public. So Notion give you a functionality where you can, host your Notion page in public, and anyone can check that page. So there's a public folder where I can, mention some information. Then there is this personal folder where I can add my learnings. This is called a brain dump. And as a freelancer, one point or one rule of thumb you can take from me is have to have a brain dump. So whenever you are working, or whenever you are chilling, or whenever you are in a meeting and you're getting few ideas for your task for future, start writing it down. And I'm one of the person who do it, and Snehil is also one person because he's my friend, he do it. So yes, we create notes, and your notes should not be very smart kind of notes, but this is the stuff that how you can create your notes. So when I was listening to Anirban, I used to write this thing. This is how you create your own brain dump. And brain dumps are very important because they will help you to, get your ideas back. Because ideas, your brain is a forgetting machine, right? So whenever you are learning anything, it will just, flow from your brain. But when you have a brain dump, you can look back to it again and you can get your ideas back. And there are more stuff into it, like what is this? This is content engine, then sponsorship, then emails, and tips for SOPs and things. So this is how complex stuff could be. So many folders, so many dashboards, so many databases. But if you are a beginner, remember the rule of thumb. Have a simple stuff. Could be a simple sheet, could be a simple to do, and you can use a simple marker and a whiteboard. And let me tell you, there's a whiteboard here. I used to write so many stuff here for my plans so that I can look back to it. You can use the same. And the final stuff, which I promised you all, let me clean my table for a bit. Like, let me show you like how Notion look alike to me when I'm working on it. So this whole Apple ecosystem, not a flex, but give you a little power to use your iPhone camera. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Oops, I think my screen is visible.
Yeah, yeah, it is, yeah.
Great. So when I'm working on any stuff on my Notion, it is open like this, right? I can only see the stuff on my screen. I don't have any notifications coming in. Is it connected on Wi-Fi? But see, there's no notification coming in because I have silenced everything on here. I have I don't have opened my WhatsApp in the background, my Gmail, and there's no mail coming in and making me, feel distracted. This is what you have to do. Have to have open your that to do or anything. Let's suppose I'm working or I'm taking the session. It should be opened in the full screen. There should not be a place for distractions, right? So yeah, this is what you have to follow. This is the thing. So yeah, now we can start a few engagement sessions. So you guys can ask if you have any questions. I think it is right, Anirban.
Yes, yes. If you are done, then people can ask you questions.
Yep, I'm done. So yeah, if you guys have any question, you can ask me.
Maybe you can, like, as you have talked about everything from basic to
Uh,
intermediate, or maybe. So if you have any advanced tactics, which I like, there are so many people who are trying to build the system from scratch or already have
hmm,
something, but they don't know how to make it even more efficient for them. Maybe you can talk about that. Like if they are in intermediate phase, how can they
okay.
make the process more easy?
Hmm. So yeah, if you are in the intermediate state, let me share my screen again, right? So I can give you a little overview of the framework I talked about, so that you can have a little more idea about it. And let me tell you, like, even if you are in an intermediate state, you don't need to have a complex dashboard. So when I'm saying you are in an intermediate, it doesn't mean that you are. I think it is not the stuff. Let me share my screen. Oops. Share screen, entire screen. Great. Just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yep, it
Great.
is.
Hmm. Yep. So the simple framework I talked about, Soda, is applicable for beginners, applicable for intermediate. You just have to have this mindset, like how you're going to see. So if let's suppose you have a system for yourself, can you can so if anyone want to give me the idea of the system you use, like what are the stuff you have in your system. So let's suppose if you use a system or if you have a checklist for yourself which you use to track your work, your client task. See, you have to remember these things in your system. There are three things. This is very important. The number one is the task which you have in your priorities. And when I talk about to dos, you can have three types of to dos. Your daily to dos, the thing you have to do today. And this should, many people say you have to create your day to do on the night. Some people say when you wake up, you just have to create. It's all up to you. Just understand your priorities, decide what is the top 3, top 4, top 5 tasks that you have to accomplish in your day, and add it into the priority order. Right. The second thing is client. You have to remember that you have a client which you have to work on, which task you have to work on, right? So you have to create somehow a track of it. And I remember one of my friend using this thing called Google Sheets. And if you guys have used Google Sheets, let me give you an example. Sheet.new. Yeah, this internet is filled with shortcuts. Yep. So in Google Sheets, oh my God, you can create this multiple what pages, right? And so yep, now you can create one sheet for your daily task, the second sheet for your client task, the third could be your content calendar, something like this. I think my screen is visible, right? Great. So this is what you have to do. Remember the framework, so and three things which are important: task, client, prospect. And now if you're an intermediate state And if you have few freelancers working below you, you can add one thing called a delegate, because I told you delegate is a stuff which is already a very important thing, and it is coming at an intermediate and pro level, because here not just you're working alone, but you have few people working with you. Right? And this is how it is. And when you're delegating, you have to have a track of the task you're assigning to them and taking the updates from them, and then updating your clients, because now you are becoming the manager. From the person you are working, now you are becoming at the autopilot mode. Now you are now you are not just the pilot. Now you have to just take care of everything, like how it is going on. You have to manage it, right? So yeah. And the final one is automate. If you're using tools like Notion, you are pro into it, go for the subscription. Use tools like Asana to. So I remember this creator called Ankur Wariko used this tool similar to Slack called Asana. In Asana, you get everything which you get on Notion. So you can create a Kanban board for yourself where you can track your time, you can track your stuff, the deadlines, and what a task assigned to whom, and everyone can look at it. I remember when I was working at Joe Stocks, they had few sheets for each department, for designers, for script writers, for video creators, for guests. Everyone have one sheets, and every sheet is assigned to people who are going to work on that sheets, and they are going to work on it. Yep. Yep. This is everything. Just remember this whole framework. SODA. Systematize, optimize, delegate, and automate. And if you're at an intermediate state, make sure that you are automating your stuff slowly and slowly, and go slowly toward the state of delegation. I'm also not in the state of delegation. I'm also not, because the creative work you cannot delegate, right? Because your client will understand it, because the work you will put into it cannot be delegated. But yeah, few stuff you can delegate. Let's suppose reaching out to your clients, you can delegate that. Writing cold emails, you can delegate that. So, and it depends on the niche or the the background you're working in. Yep. This is all it. So if you guys have any questions, you can just drop it in the comments, chat, or let me know by opening
Yeah.
your microphones.
So basically the main outcome of this session is like you don't have to have something very complex in order to build your system. It can be very basic with some simple Google Sheet as well, Google Doc as well. I mean, the tool I use personally is ClickUp, because I have set my system inside that. I keep my blogs, social media copy, CRM, also the everything for whatever I have. Like if I want to invite someone for my newsletter, if I have some task to do, I just set it, and it keeps giving me update that you have a task to finish it today, finish it tomorrow, finish it. I mean, if the task is overdue, it will give me a mail that okay, that task is overdue, you have to do it. And everything, like let's say I stay on LinkedIn from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's my LinkedIn time, LinkedIn hour, and I will be there every freaking day. So it reminds me of that. So the entire thing is all about making it simple for you, and what works for you. Choose, like if Notion works for you, go with Notion. If simple Google Docs and Google Sheet works for you, then go with it. Because I saw there are a lot of people who use Google Notes to write notes. There are so many people who use simple Google Docs to write content, blogs, and everything. So whatever suits you, go with that, and make the best of it. Like don't need to chase something. Like I nowadays I see there are so many people asking what's a CRM to do, what CRM to use, which platform to write blogs on, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. Whatever you choose. Like I see a lot of. I mean, I can use a lot of tools. Like for LinkedIn, maybe I can use Komodo app, but that doesn't make any sense for me because it's complex, it's costly. Use, I mean, built my CRM inside the ClickUp and Google Sheet. I use it. It's simple, effective, and time saving. So system building is all about making it efficient and for you, not for anyone else, or not for so okay, I use this tool, I use that tool. No, just make sure to use it for you and make it efficient. So I don't think that people have any other question, but still, if Neha, Shuman, Pragya, Naima, Ankit, and Snehil, you guys have any question, feel free to ask, and we'll wrap it up after that.
Not any question, but I want to mention that Harsh, you have been an amazing speaker. I really like your energy, the way you were speaking throughout the session. It was clearly visible that you're so passionate about whatever you're doing. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, am I
I think I
audible?
totally agree with it. Last week when I was giving the session, I was so I was so scared, but I can see in her she's so excited about sharing his learning stuff.
All right. Yeah, Snehil, you were saying something?
Yeah, Harsh bhai, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I want you to review my, productivity system or anything tracking system. It is not a lot of, it doesn't involve a lot of tools or anything. It just involves a notes app on my phone and it involves a Notion app. Right? So what I do is the task that I assign to people. Okay, so I have made a Notion checklist for that. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, you
you
are.
are.
Yeah. So I was saying that I have made a Notion checklist for that. Okay, I've assigned these many tasks to this person, I've assigned these many tasks to this person, and that helps. Also, that helps me to create invoices for them at the end of the month, right? The next thing and all my research work, all my learning work, all that goes in various pages of Notion. For the task, for day-to-day tasks, I use Notes app. So what I do is, as you mentioned, that you must have a daily to-do list, a weekly to-do list, and a monthly to-do list. I don't make a monthly to-do list, but I make a daily to-do list and a weekly to-do list. But I don't make them separate. I just combine all like both of them in one to-do list. What I do is that the tasks that have to be done today only, I write them in like on priority, and then leaving one line, I write the task which, in case I get extra time, I will do it. But if I don't get the time, I will just pass them on to the next day. Okay, so by the end of the week, I will get like even any day if I don't get time, I can still pass those tasks to the next day. And if I don't get time for those extra tasks in the entire week, those tasks will be passed on to the next week. So that way, I get reminded of these tasks every day. Like every time I make a to-do list for the next day, I get reminded of the tasks that are not that are not really high priority, but those have to be done. So, like, what do you think? Can I improve it somehow, or is it good enough?
Like, it is really good enough because, yes, it is working for you. One thing which I want to include for mixing up your daily and weekly to do, I would suggest to have two to do for yourself. The monthly and weekly could be like, if you're using Notion for it, you can use I think this is known as drop down. So you can create a heading drop down kind of thing, and you can add stuff into it so that you have daily to do list and below you have monthly to do list. When you're mixing it now, I did it, and it become a little complex because now you will slowly get confused about it, which one you have to follow and right. And sometimes it becomes, and since your brain you have to process so many information on your screen, right? So let me give you a little example of mine, right? So that I can, tell you a little in a better way. So when you have don't, when your brain don't have to, focus, or you don't have to process something. So when I have this thing here, so I create this, drop down for me. So let's suppose I have this task to do. I only see it when I am working on my task, when I have to check what task I have to do, right? And even when I'm getting done with any task, I will just remove it. Similarly, what you can create for yourself, also have a long term to do for yourself so that you have a long term vision, right? And for that, make sure you use a diary kind of stuff, because it's just my own kind of belief ki the long term goals should be written on any kind of diary, because that will help you to achieve that.
How
And also,
long are we talking about?
Long means long.
Okay,
More
got it.
than month, more than year, more in maybe in future you
Uh-huh.
want to achieve that. So it should be written somewhere because so that you can prove yourself.
I have made it. I have a sort of diary where I write
Huh.
all my goals which I have to
Because
like complete in
because these thing
five
works.
6 months. Yeah.
Huh. Also, for the point I mentioned about reflecting, yes, I have to have something like this. So I don't, consistently document because I'm not very good into this documenting journaling thing. But I do keep track of my task for the learnings I have learned or the thing I have to do. If I'm doing any podcast, I will write few stuff here so that I have something written at one place, right? So that I can look up to. This is one kind of a brain dump I have. So yeah, and just remember about it ki your system is yours, and if it is working for you, yes, just go for it and optimize it in your way. Just make sure you tweak it after a month and look for the result you are getting, because because if you remember what I talked about, system is you have the track of your input and you also get the track of your output, so that you can actually match it. Okay, I'm following this, that's why I'm getting this result. I'm doing this, that's why I'm getting this result. The same thing we do on this A/B testing and design thing, right? We are posting this design so that we can track, okay, this is what the result we are getting. So this is how the system works.
Got it. Thank you so much, bhai. Like that is one great insight that your system has to make sense just to you,
Ha,
right? Not to anyone else.
ha. This is what Matt Gray say as well in his course called Founder OS. I'm not
Right.
suggesting it is available on internet, so you can find it. But he mentioned this. Your system requires few stuff, and there are few checklists that you should have. But understand that your system is yours. So if it works for you in this way, go for this way.
Right. Got it.
Do you guys have any other question? I don't think so. Yeah, Harsh, thank you for coming here today and sharing your golden nuggets. And we have learned a lot. Like those people who were not sure of the system, or even if they have, they are. I mean, it's not cup of tea for everyone, to be honest, because a lot of people struggle with having a system, because system building is. I mean, for me, it's too important because it saves your time, it makes you more efficient, and overall it actually uh, impact a lot in your business. So there are so many people who actually hire a lot of notion only for notion. They actually hire for building notion templates, notion dashboard, and this kind of thing. I saw that people are hiring, even if even I saw Ali Abdul was hiring for only for specifically notion designers and notion developers. So yeah, system is too important in a freelancer's life. Thanks for this session. We have learned a lot, whatever you have shared. And yeah, you were the last guest for this year. We have finished this year in an amazing way. Thank you for this. And we're looking forward. And of course, we will see you thriving in 25. Thank you so much for being here today. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we will see you in 25. Till then, bye bye. Have a great year end. Thanks.
Bye 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 bye.